Hey there, hope you're having a good day. Today we're talking about the diagnostics function. This is a function I would recommend you put into your project, a similar function based on your need. It's useful to be able to turn this function on and off from a central location so that you can see diagnostic messages on what's happening in your project. The time investment to put this into your code almost immediately pays for itself once you've run into a bug, and you're going to run into bugs. And so this helps you find those bugs relatively quickly. Essentially, how the function works is it has some filters to determine whether it's even going to print anything to the screen. And then if it passes all of that, it prints to the screen. Okay. I have an enumeration called a message category. And this is controlled here on the local variables. These local variables on this function are going to serve as how you turn on the function, how you filter things out. Firstly, so this function library is going to be shared among all of your blueprints as a function library that so you can use this diagnostics function anywhere. And so I've created this function library, and in here I have a diagnostics function, which is shared among all of my blueprints. Okay, and so I can make changes in one spot. So I can come here to this function, and I can enable diagnostics across the board, which is this first filter, right? Whether diagnostics are enabled or not. And then I have another filter here that if errors only is marked to true. If the input value of is error is also true, it shows it. Otherwise, it filters it out. And then I have another filter here that limits based on category. And so if this limit to category is set to true, it will limit to the selected category. Okay. And I'll show you some examples in blueprints so you know what I mean as far as how you can use it. For the text, I use the unpause time seconds, and I just have it select based on whether or not it's an error because I changed the text slightly if it's an error or not. Okay, and this is another input value up here, the in string. Okay, so we've talked about in string, is error, message category. The key, the name variable that can be set when you add this function to a blueprint is straight from the print string node here. And what the key does is if something has a matching key, something is not blank and it has a matching key to something else that's on screen, instead of adding a new line at the top, it's going to replace the existing line on screen. Okay, so it's a way you can kind of pare down the number of messages on screen. And so I have this verbose local variable that you can turn on or off. And if it's turned on, it ignores any keys that are put in and just shows everything. So it's useful if if you don't want too much activity on screen, but you still want to see what's going on based on these diagnostic nodes. So it's there, you can turn it on or off as needed. Lastly here, I have the color. First, it selects based on whether or not it's an error. If it's an error, it makes the color red. Otherwise, it colors it according to the category. Okay, feel like it's all pretty straightforward. I'd encourage you to make something like this for yourself if you haven't already. It's helped me a great deal in troubleshooting when I come across issues. So let's talk about, just real quick, I'll show some examples of how I use it in blueprints, and then I'll show what it looks like in game. So if I right-click diagnostics here, I'm going to find references by name, and then I'm going to click the little search button down there. And let's just pull up start turn. Okay. So here, this is how I typically use it. I put it at the start of a function and at the end of a function. This is a super simple function. All it's doing is triggering turn effects on start turn, right? And essentially, I just get this text that I can make up. I choose the message category. In this case, it's effect, because actually we're on the effect blueprint. So that's probably why this is so simple. I don't even put a key. It's not an error. And then at the end, I fill out similar information. For the most part, I just copy and paste and then stick it at the end. And that's how I use it in blueprints. I do this on almost all functions. Usually after I've got a function down the way I want it, I will go and add these diagnostics in different areas. Let's look at one more. Let me pull up that search again. This probably has a lot. So you'll notice as things route, I have it say different things based on how it's routed. So the end turn started in this case here. And then it's going to either go true or false here. And it's going to say any combat party victory or any combat party defeat. These are not messages that the player of your game will see. These are strictly for you to, as you're developing your game, to see what's happening. Okay. So I tend to put them at the end of nodes to kind of say this was the result. And then if errors happen, like you reach a part of your node tree, your path throughout your code that you should not get to, like you're checking if something is valid, right? And it should never be invalid in your case. You would want to put a diagnostics node there and mark this error as true, right? Just as an example. Okay. Well, let's pull up the actual game. And so if I press F to trigger combat, you'll see it's doing all this stuff and telling me everything that is happening. It's a lot, but this is going to be very useful when you come across issues because you can filter it by category. Yeah, I think that's all I have to say about that. Let me know if you have questions in the comments. And that does it for this video. I hope you have a good day.